they come to understand the beauty of God through women. We ask this through your intercession as we pray. Hail Mary.
Full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
It was really unexpected to be here. Mr. Nye, Miss Nye's husband, asked me like Wednesday if I could do a talk, and I was like, oh, I'll get back to you on that. So it was today. I was like, I'm going to do it today. I was in Mass, and I was like, I need to do it. And so I'm here to give y'all's perspective on what a guy wants to see in a girl. And to give you a little bit of background info about me, my name is Andy Fittis. I go to John Paul II High School. I go to school with 7th. I have a family I'm a part of a family of 6. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. And both of my parents are really, really, really good to me. They're still together. Thank God. Very grateful for that. Now, the topic I want to cover with you is modesty. As he said before, he was giving a topic about modesty, and he was telling you all a little bit about it, but I want to tell you about it from my perspective. Now, being beautiful and radiant takes a lot. It takes a virtue called modesty, and modesty, to me, is a veil. Now, back then in the Old Testament, what they had was the Ark of the Covenant, and the way they put that Ark of the Covenant, put it in a temple, and in that temple there was several walls. There's a wall, and then a veil. And on Atonement Day, there was a high priest, and he would go into the temple, and he would have a rope around him, tied with a belt. And he would go into the temple, and many times when he would go through the walls and go to the presence of God, he would drop dead. And so when they stopped hearing the ringing of the bells, they would pull him back in with the rope. And why am I telling you this? It's because you women all have a veil. And that veil holds the beauty. That's how God reveals his beauty. Y'all's beauty is very important to you. And it is only your future spouse that should reveal that veil, that should overlap that veil, and that's during wedding day. And that is very important to understand. Now, I want to talk to you about what is immodesty, and like how the world sees immodesty. Now, when we turn on TV, we see all these things, these commercials, and these things that tell you how you should look, magazines that say how you should be and how you do this. And a lot of them tell you that you're fat, you're too skinny, you're too fat and skinny, you're a work of art. So it's just like, you get discouraged, and you feel like you have to submit to this in order for guys to like you, in order for you to talk to guys. And you feel like this is the only way I can truly get to know guys. Now this is where modesty comes in. Modesty will not give you the gratification like immodesty does. Like guys, when you wear something very immodest, guys automatically notice. That's how guys are. We're attracted through our eyes. We see. Y'all are more internal. We're more external. That's our first opinion. We have a first opinion on how girls look. That's our first thought. Like, how does she look? And that's how y'all present yourself. So when you're immodest, you're presenting yourself in a way that guys are obviously going to notice. But when you're modest, you're putting that mystery in it. You're putting something that makes the guy wonder. Now those guys that look for that in the girl, they're out there somewhere. You just have to find them. You have to search for them. And the gratification you get from being immodest is obvious. The guy will come up to you and be all like goo gaga all over you. That's normal for wearing immodest things. But modestly, you're not gonna have that gratification. Guys are gonna be all over you. The gratification you're gonna get from being immodest is having that self-respect, realizing that you have dignity and that a guy should respect you. Now, what a guy looks for a girl is, number one, she's Catholic, she's Christian. Number two, she respects herself. I mean, how can a guy respect you if you don't respect yourself? You know, it's only right. And another one is, you truly are true about yourself. You're not living a fake persona. You're not fake. You're true to yourself. And you're true to God. You have a relationship with God. All these things a guy looks for in a girl. Now, you may tell yourself, well, I'm not all that. Not a lot of guys like me. This and this and this. And that's where modesty comes in. Modesty makes you, it's a virtue that a lot of guys don't recognize because some of them aren't grown up in certain areas or like some of them backgrounds. And I'm telling you right now, there are guys out there that are searching for girls like you that are here today. There are guys out there. But how do I find that guy? I don't want to be waiting all my life and end up finding him in a nursing home. No, you're not gonna. That's not gonna happen. God has a plan for you. He knows your entire future. You just have to give it all to him. You can't be scared. You can't be worried. You can't be having this fear of wondering, will I be single for the rest of my life? Will I find that guy? Don't settle for less. There's a lot of guys that are out there just for the pleasure, just to get something. You want those guys out there that want a girl that respects himself. Now I want to give you a little story about myself. Some of you may know I'm in a relationship. I've been in a relationship for 18 months, and it's very pure relationship, and we have a close relationship together. And I just want to read you a story that I wrote, an essay. It was an essay for English, and she asked that we write a descriptive essay. And I thought, why don't I write one about the day I asked her to be my girlfriend? And so, here it is. November 25th, 2011 marked the day where my life will change forever. At this time, I was a sophomore in high school. Up to this point in my life, I have considered mainly my family, school, and sports were the most important. However, there was a girl I had been talking to for several months, and we were really good friends. She was intelligent, athletic, and we shared a lot in common. For instance, we both thought school was important, and we both stayed active too. The best part about her was her family that was important to her, and her faith, which was a priority. I noticed over time my feelings for her grew stronger, and I had started to fall in love with her. I was just a typical guy who didn't think he could fall in love with a young girl. Who could think he could fall in love this young? She opened her heart to me, and I saw the inner core of her profound radiance and love. I fell in love with her. As my feelings grew deeper for her, I knew it was time for me to ask her to be my girlfriend. I had never been in a relationship with someone. I had no idea how my parents would react to this decision. I only knew in my heart that I had found the one. On the night of November 23rd, 2011, I had invited her over for dinner with my family. My parents had given me permission to date as long as we spent time with each other's families. She arrived in a silver car, and then I quickly went outside to meet her and greet her into my house. I was extremely excited. I had butterflies in my stomach and anxiety in my chest. I was paranoid that the night might end up awkward if I let my nerves get to me and I acted too shy. To my surprise, we all had a great time. The night was filled with musical laughter, smiles from ear to ear. The best part of the night was when I was able to finally hold her hand. Electricity flooded through me, and heat washed over my face. It was the most amazing feeling I had ever experienced. While I held her hand, I was thinking of a way to ask her out, and I remembered my parents had always taught me to ask her parents for permission, because it was the proper thing to do. I wasn't sure how to approach them and ask them for permission to date their daughter. When the time came for her to leave, her parents came to the front door, and I was nervous to meet them. My heart pounded with an overwhelming force, as though it could burst at any moment. My mind was fuzzy, as though my brain has been replaced with a hive of bumblebees trying to fight their way out of my head. Trying to catch my breath was like drowning in water, not being sure when I would reach the surface. I finally calmed my nerves and opened the door. I walked outside and greeted him with the proper manners my mother had taught me. I finally spoke with courage as she watched me with stars in her eyes, imagining all the possibilities that could arise from this moment. I said to Mr. and Mrs. Science, over the past 3 months, I have come to know your daughter. I must say, she has a beautiful soul. With your permission, I would really love to date your beautiful daughter. I promise I will not do anything to harm her or take advantage of her. I promise to treat her the way she should be treated and respected. I have a little sister, and I will treat her the same way. I will treat her with the same respect and love I would want my little sister to be treated with. Her parents were surprised at my final request, and I could easily tell they were both a little apprehensive yet impressed. With tears in her dad's eyes, he gave me permission to date his little girl. My heart surged with happiness because I knew I had made a decision that would be life-changing. After her dad gave me permission to date, her mother said in reply, "I will hold you up to that promise," and I quickly said, "Yes, ma'am." As I said my goodbye, I shook her dad's hand and hugged her mom, and I gave my new beautiful girlfriend a warm, tight hug, and watched her depart, while my heart was soaring. Moments later, I had sent a text saying, "I got a girlfriend." She replied, "You asked my parents, but you forgot to ask me." I dropped my head down in shame as I realized I completely forgot to ask her. I couldn't help but smile, though, because I know a girl that demanded for that kind of respect was the kind of girl I had been waiting for. 2 days later, on November 25th, 2011, I was invited to go bowling with her and her family. My brother tagged along with me because he needed to get out of the house. The night was filled with excitement and fun as everyone was having a blast, and I was getting to know her family. I especially enjoyed spending the time with her. When the time came for us to leave, I came up with the idea of buying a 25-cent ring from a vending machine you see in restaurants. As we finally came to my house, I gave her the ring and asked her to be my sweetheart. She jumped up with excitement and gave me a big hug and said yes. Since that day, it has been 18 months, and I'm still making good on my promise, and with God's help, our relationship will continue to grow. Now, the reason why I told you that is because there are guys out there who want to treat women with respect, and those guys aren't hard to find. Being modest will give you the gratification that you need to attract those guys. Now, I never thought that I would end up here or be here talking to you about this, and I'm glad I am. But if there's one thing I want you to leave knowing is that never to give up, and never to settle for less. Being modest is not easy. There's going to be a lot of times where you're going to get discouraged because there's always going to be those girls that want to have that bad influence on you and tell you, "Why do you dress like that? Guys aren't into that." Those are the moments you need to rise up to the challenge and tell them why you dress like this, why you talk like this, because modesty isn't simply about dressing a certain way. It's about talking. It's about the way you dance. It's about the way you carry yourself. And guys will notice that, how you carry yourself. When you carry yourself that way, you will realize that people respect you more. And if there's one thing that I really want you to believe, that is the virtue of modesty isn't hard to obtain. And those that are popular, who have good looks, musical abilities, have all these talents, and they're blessed with all these things, which y'all I hopefully will be blessed with by the time you leave here, which is modesty. Modesty is a true, beautiful gift from God that I believe women in this age should all have, because today in this generation, I believe the way this world presents sex is everywhere. It's in every book. It's in every TV ad. It's everywhere, and it's not easy being modest and understanding how to approach these things. And thank you for everything. Thank you for letting me be here, and I was glad I could speak to you all here.